hello. It's the Absolute Football Podcast and it's Easter. Happy Easter to everybody. Hope you've enjoyed all the football and all your festivities. It is, of course, it's this tremendous trio we're here today. Very exciting. We've got football to talk about. The Premier League is back, which is super exciting. And of course, there's two of my favourite people in the world are here today. Not just on the podcast, in the world are here. So with Josh here as well, I've kind of mixed the limericks and the lyrics up today, so we've got a decent interest. So we'll start off with Mr. Josh. Josh, the three of us need look no more. We have found what we were looking for, with a friend to call our own. We'll never be alone. And you, my friend, will see we've got a friend in Josh. There we go. So beautiful. Haven't nicked that from Gavin and Stacey at all.
That's just beautiful.
It's lovely. How are you doing, sir? You're here. You're our surprise guest.
I bet everyone's really disappointment. That's like the biggest anticlimax you could possibly come up with. Like, who is this mystery guest going to be? It could be anyone. Look at all the people that follow the pod. Is it John Cena? Is it Louis Barry? No, it's that dude who's normally on the other on the alternate Mondays. What a waste of time. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. We're scraping the barrel this week.
That's a surprise, isn't it? It was all about the surprise. All about the surprise. Of course, it's not just Josh here. Shah is here as well. There we go. We'll let her finish a drink. It's been a busy day for Shah at Rochdale, which I'm sure she'll come on to. And of course, I have an introduction for Shah as well. In the spirit of Westlife, everybody's looking for that something. Devante Rodney to make it all complete. You'll find it at Spotland on Easter Monday. Places you never knew Rodney could be. Some find it in the face of their children. Some find it in Kian Hayes' eyes. Who can deny the joy it brings when a late equaliser causes Rochdale to sing because you're flying without wings. Hello, Shah. Easter Monday. How you doing?
I love that. Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. I've got a little bit of a sore throat and I've got a bit of a cold. So I just want to warn everyone now, this is a nasal inhaler. I'm not shoving anything up my nose, what shouldn't be up my nose. So I thought I would clarify that before someone in the chat decided to say something. So I am just covering all angles. But how are you?
You imagine the intrigue for the audio listeners now going, I'm going to have to check out that YouTube video.
Yeah,
where can you check it out? On YouTube, of course you should. Absolute Football Podcast.
It's an Albus nasal inhaler to unblock my sinuses if anybody on audio is intrigued by what it is. I promise it is. I promise. Indeed. I'm a little bit chesty.
There we go. The next item of podcast merch is well and truly
nasal inhalers.
And do you know what? For all of those freaks out there, you can buy Charlotte's used nasal inhaler.
Auctioned off at the end of the season.
eBay, yes. I'll sign it as well.
Classic.
Yeah, you can have Charlotte's nasal fluid, and in the future you can clone your very own Charlotte. Complete with chest infection.
I know.
There we go. Plenty of gifts. I'm sure we can find some at the end of the season. You know, Lucas's pants. We're gonna have. I don't know. My mouse has gone missing. If I find it, maybe we can have that.
I've already got dibs on Lucas's pants.
Dear, oh dear. And we're not just us. We've got some lovely people in the chat. Let's have a look. Who have we got in the chat? We have got Spenny fan Chris. Afternoon. What am I doing? Good evening, all. Where are we? Better Easter Monday with Spenny Moore beating Farsley Celtic 3-1. Happy days and happy Easter to all the AFP crew. Thank you, Chris. How's your Easter been, Wakey Mank? It's been good. It's not been a bad Easter at all. And how a good way to end by chatting football on a Monday night. Superb. Evening to Graham. Graham is with us because he's off on his holiday, so he can join us today. Evening, Graham. Evening to Johnny. We've got evening to Richard. I say my mouse. This is bloody frustrating. Where's he gone? He's run off. So happy Easter from Richard. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Simon says, evening gang, what a naff Easter Monday so far. Thank goodness for you guys. Get a chocolate egg down you. Sean says, is it Naughty Norman? No, Naughty Norman has been at the Newport game today. He might be on Thursday. I don't know. We don't know yet. It's too far in the future.
I don't think he is, I think he's in Dover for a few days with his girlfriend, so I don't think Kieran will be on, unfortunately. But just remember, everyone, it was all decided by a goal.
It was. The game was decided by a goal. Kieran's Mancha, we will follow through today. And there were many games that were decided by goals this weekend. Let's go to the chat. We've got Graham says it's never a bad thing having you here, Josh. From
Well, I
Graham.
don't believe you, but thank you.
We've got all week, everybody. All week to Mr. Luke. He travelled 2 hours, 30 minutes from home to field. Just, I thought it was called off, wasn't it? Yeah, FC Farm
yeah, it
versus
was.
Gate said today. Hopefully, this cheers me up. Well,
I told you
hopefully
it's
you had a
impact.
nice trip. Sort your pitch out. Come on.
I know.
And as well,
Wow,
Paul George is in the
drain
chat. Evening all. 1-1 for me and Shah game. Honours even. And we also have Heather.
wasn't a
Heather is
sending
here
off.
as well. Evening. Wasn't this? Yeah.
It wasn't
Shah's
a
got a lot to
sending off.
talk about. Lot to talk about.
I'll
on
leave it
Thursday
until
about that game.
Thursday, Mo.
This is it. Suspense. The suspense of it
I
all.
know.
We're going to talk about some Premier League. Isn't it nice that the Premier League's back? International breaks are a pain in the bum, particularly this time of the season. We're all very excited. And the first game back was lunchtime kickoff, Newcastle versus West Ham. 7 goals, comebacks, injuries, VAR, penalty decisions, players flipping the bird off the fans on their way to the bus. It was all going on. Newcastle 4, West Ham 3, Shah. What happened? It's quite eventful.
Yeah. It was very, very eventful. And it all started actually with a penalty to Newcastle. And that was a foul on Anthony Gordon, which, to be honest, I thought that was a penalty. There were 2 penalties in this game. This one I thought was a penalty, to be fair. No complaints. It was the right decision. And then Isak stepped up and he sent the goalkeeper the opposite way, made it 1-0. West Ham then did equalise. A very good ball as well, dinked over the top to Antonio. And then obviously Antonio, a really great finish for him. He slotted it in. And then for West Ham's second goal, there was a bit of controversy. They were awarded a free kick. I don't know if anybody saw it. And then he took it really quickly. I think before the ref even blew his whistle. And a Newcastle player was actually down. I can't remember which Newcastle player it was. But anyway, West Ham took the free kick. And it was passed then straight to Bowen, who was on the wing, and then he slotted it through to Kudos, who then obviously he's going to score. What a player he is. Such a great talent. And obviously they took the lead, and I don't know if anybody saw his celebration, but when his usual celebration he does, he asks the ball boy to move so he can take the ball boy seat. And this one ball boy in particular, this Newcastle fan, refused to move and was going like that with his ear. And to be fair, Kudos just then sat on the sponsors, and he had a little bit of banter with this kid. And there was I saw on Twitter a few fans saying, "Oh, we shouldn't have expected him to move," blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, at the end of the day, it was banter. It didn't move this kid, so fair enough. He then carried on, and then he went like that on his head, and they were having banter and playing around. So there's nothing really much
Bit of
to
fun,
that.
isn't it? Bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet that ball boy, to be fair, that's memories for him. He'll never get to probably do that again. And he probably had a really fun time and thought, yeah, and then he had the banter with it as well. So, yeah, that was 2-1. And then the third goal, West Ham's third one, it was another link up between Kudos and Jared Bowen, but it was reversed this time. A Kudos ball, he passed it on to Jared Bowen, and a great powerful finish by him to make it 3-1. Newcastle players and fans again were annoyed because I don't know if anybody saw it, but it did look like the ball went out of play and Kudos did miscontrol it, but then nothing came of that, and the goal was obviously allowed. 2 substitutes then that, in my opinion, changed the game. Very positive substitute for Newcastle. Obviously, Harvey Barnes coming on, and I'll get onto what he did later. But for West Ham, Calvin Phillips, I think he replaced Antonio, and I feel really, really sorry for Calvin Phillips at the minute because I just feel like nothing is going right for him. For Calvin Phillips, obviously, that we knew from Leeds, and obviously we've seen him play for England and partner Declan Rice. It just looks like he's totally lost now. He doesn't know what to do. I really do feel for Calvin Phillips, and I think that his time at City and what Pep Guardiola did to him, I feel like that's massively knocked his confidence. But yeah, 8 minutes after he came on, he gave away a penalty. And I don't know if anybody has seen this decision, but I think it was a very, very harsh penalty decision, to be honest. I don't think it was a penalty. I don't know about you guys. Did any of you see it?
I thought it was. I did think it was harsh. Because two of them were similar, weren't they? Gordon got in front of him for the first penalty as well, and he did kind of. I think that one he had his foot in front and he'd kick through. This one I didn't really feel he didn't get control of the ball. It was like I just need to get a part of my body in front of there. Phillips is blindsided, so a little bit, but I thought it was a tad harsh, to be fair.
Yeah, it was, and I just feel like with Calvin Phillips as well, his confidence is already low. So then given that, which I think was harsh anyway, obviously that's just a massive blow to it as well. Then obviously Isak converted that one, and Harvey Barnes, what a substitution. He got the other 2 goals, and then Newcastle obviously went on to win 4-3. And I think that was a massive win for Newcastle, because I've seen a lot of people calling for Eddie Howe to leave now. I think he's massively under pressure. They've had a lot of injuries, which is fair enough, but I feel like they're not the Newcastle we saw last year. To be fair, there's a few other teams that are getting stronger. Like you've got Aston Villa now, you've got the teams around them. But I feel like with Newcastle, Eddie Howe really did need that. But I feel like that win has kind of papered over some of the cracks. And I think he's still, obviously, I still don't know what to expect with Eddie Howe and whether his job is safe or not, because I feel like with Newcastle fans, they are getting frustrated with him. But yeah, from a West Ham point of view as well, I would be absolutely fuming, because I just feel like at 3-1, we should have been absolutely cruising. And these 2 teams are obviously challenging now for a European spot. Like no matter which one they are going for, they're both challenging for Europe. And I just think some of the defence were absolutely shambolic.
It was a very, very mad game, wasn't it? Because you've got, at the point where West Ham went 3-1 up, you could see Newcastle fans really getting annoyed, really frustrated, because they scored both sides at half-time really quickly. And Newcastle had, I mean, there must be something in their training with all these injuries. It's crazy how many injuries that they've been receiving, and seem to, an element of bad luck, sure, but there's just so many of them. I mean, there's 3 went down. Lascelles went down. He's now got an ACL injury, so he's done for the season, which means they've only got 2 fit centre-backs in Fabian Schär, and they put Dan Burn at the centre-back. They could possibly play Paul Dummett, I think is their last option. Otherwise, they really are struggling. Amaron came on and went off, so he came off injured. They lose Anthony Gordon because he got sent off. I forgot to mention
that as well. That was stupid. I think he just completely forgot that he'd been booked, because it was just so stupid by him.
It was crazy.
I missed that.
He kind of kicked the ball back to the goalkeeper. It was one of those kicking it away, slowing the game down kind of incidents. And, it was right in front of the referee. And it was classic commentator's curse, because the commentator had just given him the player of the match. I think someone said it here in the chat, if I can find it. They'd just given him the player of the match, and then he was like, and he's been excellent. Oh, he's off. He's gone. Okay. Anthony Gordon.
Sounds silly. That does sound silly, doesn't it?
It was a very silly moment. Yeah, Wakey Mank. There we go. Yeah, Anthony Gordon got player of the match. 30 seconds later, got sent off. But yeah, from a Newcastle perspective, that's the thing. St James's Park is one of those places, isn't it? It can go bonkers. It can kind of go. I just felt as soon as they scored a goal that it was maybe gonna. And West Ham just sat off. They just sat off. And it's just the amount of times you see teams do that, just say, I'm just going to hold it. And actually what they do is they just invite pressure on themselves. And I mean, Harvey Barnes' winner was fantastic. I mean, Josh, we'll come to you in terms of Newcastle. What do you think on, obviously they've missed Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes is one of their signings. Quite a lot of Newcastle signings haven't actually been available this season for various reasons, injuries, suspensions, the lot. But Harvey Barnes is someone they've missed. What do you make of Harvey Barnes? And do you think he's a key cog when he's back fit for Newcastle?
He could be. I mean, I'm on the fence a bit with Harvey Barnes, but he hasn't had the string of games really to show what he's all about with a slightly better caliber of player than what he had at Leicester. He shows flashes, and he's got techers, he's got bits about him, but I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm yet to see. It'll be good to see him to get a run in there. And it's been unfortunate. They have, like you said, there's something weird. I mean, I'm not sure if it's still the case. I know Newcastle one of their previous managers said about the state of the training facilities and just how dire all the training facilities are, the age of everything that they've got and the setup there. And I think, I mean, even that Sandro Tonali video, he's walking around with his missus and looking around like, what the sweet Jesus is going on here? I wouldn't be surprised if that's got something to do with it, because it's a high intensity game and the Premier League anyway, and players like that, like Harvey Barnes, play at that level of intensity that you're likely to pick it up if the facilities are not that good. So that could contribute to it. But yeah, I'm reserving judgment. I'm not going to get overtly excited because I think he's okay. We'll see what happens when he gets a run of games and a level of fitness.
I think there's a very good player in him, and I think Eddie Howe's the right manager to get that out of him. I like Harvey Barnes.
He's quite direct, is what I quite like about him. Quite direct, and he's got he has got a finish on him like he has. Whether he can sort of cement himself in that side, because he was clearly Leicester last season. Maddison and Harvey Barnes were light years ahead of everybody else in that kind of squad. And I'd like to see.
He doesn't seem like a confidence player to me. It doesn't look like he needs that run of games to play well consistently. But it'd be nice to see him have that run of games at that level, to be able to play at that consistency at that consistency.
I don't think they'll have an option. They'll have to use him, because I don't think there's any other choices with all these injuries they've got. It's mad, and they've got 2 games in a week as well. So it's just all starting to drop off at Newcastle. But I mean, they needed that, because that would have put them well down. They're kind of just on the cusp of still trying to fight for Europe. They're still behind West Ham, who have put on a bit of a run recently. Of West Ham, Shard, do you think, I mean, there's been a lot of unrest still with David Moyes, back and forth, frustrations, and there's times where they play some really great football, and they've got some fantastic attacking players. Kudus, Jared Bowen, Paqueta was back and making them tick, but just the decisions, and obviously we'll come on to as well with that, the whole Calvin Phillips frustration with the fans afterwards. There was incidents as well. What do you make of that? I know we've spoken about Phillips in terms of his performances not going well, but obviously there was I think Richard says here, if I can put it on, let me see, there we are. Did you hear about the incident after the game when the West Ham team were leaving? Some of the fans were chanting to Phillips to get out of the club, and he responded with an obscene gesture to them.
I think with Calvin Phillips, don't get me wrong, I don't think he should be doing that, because at the end of the day, I think these people are obviously paying their hard-earned money to go and watch West Ham, whether it's home, whether it's away and stuff. I don't think he should have responded by that. But I feel like with Calvin Phillips, he has been on a downward spiral. He has been on a lot of pressure. He's only human as well. We've had Pep Guardiola calling him out for being fat, which obviously massive confidence, like that'll knock your confidence anyway. Then obviously he was playing probably his best football at Leeds under Bielsa. He's been playing in the England squad consistently with Declan Rice, and then from that, and then getting your dream move to Manchester City, from them being going on a downward spiral, and then finally getting a chance at West Ham and it not going right. I do get it, because he's only human. He shouldn't be doing it. But then I think to myself, if this was us and someone was shouting abuse at us, we'd probably react rawly as well. And I am not condoning his actions, because I don't think he should be doing it, especially to the fans. But then I think, well, the fans, when they are shouting abuse at him and stuff, I think
you've got to expect
it's a very hard one.
I'm a little bit opposite in that I can make my peace with it. I mean, it's not the difficulty with it. If there are kids and stuff there, then that's not ideal, because there's going to be kids watching the players get on the bus and they don't want to see the players do that. But I think if there's a lot of fans and the majority are there giving him that sort of level of abuse, I think you've got to expect it. And it is that's my only thing, is if he took a look out there and thought, oh, there's a couple of kids with their parents there, really you should hold it back. But if there was just a bunch of jumped up lunatics there, I think they should, if you're going to give it, you've got to accept it, because he is only human, like you said, and it must be a horrible experience for him having City destroying him the way that they have done, which, to be fair, I think we all called at the start he was a signing for Champions League homegrown figures, and that was it, and he shouldn't have left Leeds. But I get he's probably been beaten up by that. Then he's gone to West Ham, which they've just. I don't think Moyes has known how to use him properly, and maybe in retrospect, I was all for the move at the time because I thought he needed to move to play somewhere. But in retrospect, maybe not the best club. Maybe he doesn't fit in.
I think as well, though, do you not think because he's just gone from Manchester City and all eyes were on him at Manchester City and he's been in the public with all this with Pep Guardiola, no matter where he went, there was always going to be massive pressure on him because it's like, how will he do now kind of thing. I just feel like no matter where he went, there were always going to be real pressure on him.
And I think there's been no bedding in process for him, is there? Because he's come in the middle of a season where he hasn't been playing for 18 months, so he's not kind of sharp, and he's come into a West Ham midfield, which is quite competitive. You know, that's one area that they have a lot of players. Souček, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, have all kind of got well. And where does he fit in? And it just seems that he's just had one of those like, right, here's my chance, and something goes wrong, and it's just his confidence is then absolutely shot, and then it kind of spirals from there. But it's football. People are going to get on players that make mistakes and have issues, and as you say, he's human, so I can kind of understand the reaction and the frustration. But long
Charlotte is right, isn't she? I suppose you are right. You shouldn't be doing that, but I can't begrudge it
in the moment.
That's exactly what I'm like, because at the end of the day, you think they shouldn't really be doing that, but if I was a person in that situation, I wouldn't know how to act, kind of thing. And you've got to remember as well, and we say it time and time again. Yes, they are in the public eye. Yes, they are doing a job, but they are human beings as well. And you think of the massive pressure that these players are under. Like I feel it at Rochdale, the players are under pressure there. So when you're then performing for millions, if not more people all across the world, West Ham fans, no offense to them, like they do want to challenge and stuff, but they are quite a thingy bunch as well. They want to be playing this football. At the minute, they are obviously under pressure. They're still humming and hawing about David Moyes, so they're looking for anything now. Like they're just not in the best like thingy anyway, are they? Because yeah, and I just feel with Phillips, like I said, he's been playing for England as well. So everyone's eyes are going to be on him. He's gone from Man City, all that in the public with Pep Guardiola calling him out. And then he's got this move. And I just feel like, because his confidence is so low and nothing is working out for him, it's like any other player who gave away that penalty, as much as we said it was harsh, I don't think as much would be on them. But I feel like everyone's looking out for it now. And, Calvin Phillips has come on fat. 8 minutes later, he's gave away a penalty. I just feel so sorry for the guy. I really do.
Yeah, so it's becoming that kind of click thing, isn't it? You look, player comes on, you're looking for them to make a mistake, and it is difficult. He needs a run, and hopefully for his sake, he can kind of get through this season and then see where it sits. I think
good sign for Newcastle next season.
He could do. Depends where their FFP's at, doesn't it?
Well, I can't imagine they'll be demanding lots of money for him. I wouldn't. I'd like to think that City are not going to be arseholes and.
I think he'd be better off. He'd be better off in a. I think we were saying earlier, weren't we, Shah, in the group chat, was either kind of like a bottom half kind of side. He could sit at like a Fulham or a Palace, or if Leeds come up again, maybe that's an option to come back. I know. So I'll go to the chat. There's a few people in the chat.
I think Daniel Farke as well. I think that'd be really good. I like Daniel Farke.
Yeah, I think so. We've got Miss Tori in the chat saying Pep ruined him, went to West Ham, a broken player. They completely
He's a Leeds
agree.
fan as well, Victoria.
There you go. So let us know, Victoria, if you would take him back. You'd be happy to have Phillips back if you go up this the next season. Graham thinks he should go back to Leeds, have a complete reset. What else have we got? Simon thinks West Ham have too many midfielders, too many cooks in that midfield is the problem for them. I mean, say the problem. West Ham is seventh, the seventh, and they're in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. So that's not.
The fans are mental, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like at West Ham, their expectations.
Oh well, we should be challenging for the championship, for the Champions League, playing really attractive football, even though we're West Ham, and that hasn't happened ever in my lifetime. West Ham haven't been challenging us for the Champions League. I cannot remember that happening. I'm playing beautiful football when.
They're great football. They've made some good signings. Okay, maybe they're not happy completely with the start, but they won the Conference League last year. They lost their best player in Declan Rice. They've invested that quite well. They're in
I
seventh
don't get
place, quarter-final of the Europa League, of which, they're playing Bayer Leverkusen, so that might be how well Leverkusen. And to go out to them would be absolutely no shame whatsoever because of how good they are as a side. Yeah, I think, get a feeling it'll be. They had this before with Moyes, do you remember? They let Moyes go and they were struggling a bit more.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out at all, and they had to kind of get him back. And I just get the feeling that if they make that move, they could find themselves in a similar kind of position. Just enjoy kind of the ride that they're at. So, as Heather says, West Ham were near their relegation shots last year. It's different gravy this season. As Tori says, Phillips should have gone to West Ham. Not City. Would have been perfect in a double pivot with Rice, especially when Lingard was in. Yeah, that could have worked.
Yeah.
Could have worked. It's not going so well for him. So there we go. Anything else on Newcastle 4, West Ham 3? Have we done that game? Are we happy with it? What a lovely game it was. Elated. Should we let's go to a game that wasn't quite as exciting. Should we get that over and done with? Because we need to talk about the title race, so we've got to mention it. But have you seen a more poo game of football this season than Manchester City versus Arsenal? I'll come to you, Josh, because obviously it has ramifications for you and you're more interested probably in the result. But as an entertainment game, I was bored. How about you?
I thought I was watching Crystal Palace at one stage.
Oh,
that's the sort of feeling I got.
Crystal Palace taking shots for no reason there whatsoever, just firing them off.
I gotta be. I mean, the thing that I did enjoy is afterwards all the City fans going, "We've got a weakened team." I'm thinking, have you? Because I saw Rodri, Silva, De Bruyne, Kovacic, Foden, Haaland. They're all playing. You got Stones on the bench. Who else came off the bench? You had Grealish, the legendary Doku, who's apparently the greatest winger that has ever graced football. And that's a weakened squad because Stones started on the bench and Edison, who's the mediocre keeper, didn't play. And somehow that's a weakened squad. That confused me. I was very confuddled there. It was. I think it was very much like Arteta pooed himself a little bit. I think he was just a little bit nervous about the fact that it was a big pressure game, and he's flirting his ways. I mean, bear in mind this is only his second title race that he's been in. He ballsed up the first one, so I think he was probably taking it a little bit cautiously because there was lots of bodies they had back quite consistently, which doesn't happen a lot with Arsenal. They don't typically have a lot of bodies coming back, and sometimes I think you've got to play to your strengths. And City couldn't break them down. And Haaland didn't have a very good game, I didn't think. But then again, I've been a long-standing advocate that they play the wrong style of football for Haaland. Haaland isn't a hold-up player. He doesn't bring people into the play. He's there to send the ball over the top, and he'll break, and he'll finish off a move. He's not there to be an integral cog in a move. But yeah, I'm pleased with the result. But I'm glad that I only saw snippets of the game, because if I had to sat and watch that thing, I think I would have hurt myself. I think I would have ended up binge eating or something just to try and alleviate the boredom, or start playing that crazy game with a knife where you have like your 5 fingers across your hand.
It was a bit slack. Graham tells us that Charlton versus Stevenage today was worse. So we'll have to take your mind for it. Apologies to all your Charlton fans if that was worse today, because that would have been tough. I mean, Arsenal. Defensively, because football is not just attack, got to be fair, is defensively I thought was superb, absolutely superb in how they managed it, because no one goes to the Etihad and win. Liverpool haven't done it this season. Nobody else has done it this season. None of although City's top 5 record actually is really poor this season. They haven't beaten anyone in the top 5 so far. They've got Tottenham and Villa to come. I think they brought up the graphic of the results between Arsenal, City and Liverpool, and Arsenal have got 8 points, Liverpool and City with 3, but Liverpool have been beating those other teams around them, where City haven't, which is kind of showing that maybe they're struggling to unlock those defences a bit. But Arsenal's superb defensive performance, but it was always going to end that way. I mean, it was very similar in some ways to the game at the Emirates. They just found a moment to unlock City.
It was smart. It was. I've not got an issue with defensive football. I thought it was smart from Arteta, and if he had lost, he could have easily been out of the title race, because effectively, if he lost and then City and Liverpool won all of their games, which is likely, they would have been knackered. So it was a clever thing to do. But if you're judging it on a spectacle, you wouldn't like use it as an advert for the come on this excited football. But
no, it reminded me a lot of, because everyone talks back and says all title races were exciting. They weren't always exciting. Man United Chelsea games were a lot like this at times. They were very difficult. No one would give a lot away. United Arsenal was a different ball game, but United Chelsea was like this. No one wanted to give anything away. Quite often it would be 0-0 or 1-0. You know, you're not going to see a lot of goals, and it would be kind of a moment. So, but I think City are going to look at that as I think they needed that. I really do think that they kind of needed that. Something's not quite there. I think we're all kind of a bit, because it's City, they're just going to turn it on and they're going to, but I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen that same kind of City will continue to score. I think they're really missing Mahrez, as an option. Doku and Grealish are not the same consistency. Mahrez would have come on in that game, I think, and unlocked something. It's that kind of player. I think they've downgraded a little bit there, and they're struggling. But
it's interesting. I mean, and people say, you know, about like title race games. The only reason sort of Liverpool and City go at each other consistently is because that's how the teams are set up, and those are the players that they've got. I would say Arsenal at the moment, because they haven't got that striker, they can't play that sort of football against City and win, because they haven't got that skill across the front three and that holding up the play striker in the middle to be able to do that. So I think if they did, they would have come unstuck, because City was still getting into positions, but it was very much similar. And I know I bat on about this all the time. It's similar to the Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho quarter-final, Barcelona versus Inter Milan, where Pep doesn't have an answer. He doesn't have a plan B. So if you stifle his plan A, he doesn't have that capability or the tactical notes to do anything different. So once you've got him there, you've got him. I thought Arteta was quite smart with it.
It's the right way to play it, wasn't it? It was the right way to play it. City had to kind of come at them and beat them. It's just because we're that close to the end of the season. Come on, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Talking about bringing it on, if I can find my mouse, which has disappeared. There we go. Claire is here. Hello, my good bunch. Welcome to Claire.
I didn't think that said bunch for a minute. Another word beginning with B and a CH in it, and it was Claire, so I could have been quite close.
Oh, no, we could never use that word with us. Superb Claire in it. Splendid Monday afternoon. She's having a great way. Simon agrees. He says City only have one way of playing, and if teams figure out how to stop them, then Pep doesn't have a clue how to change.
I think they are, because I don't know if you feel the same way. A lot more teams are having a go at City than have done previously.
Getting a lot more joy against them. Even
they're having a go as well, aren't they?
They're having a go, and the gaps and the spaces seem to be a little bit larger. And okay, yeah, maybe when you've got Stones and it's stepping in and they're in that possession, but I do think out of possession, if you can get in those spaces, then you really can. But Arsenal were just so deep. Arsenal were just so deep, weren't they? They couldn't and they didn't really have the same pace without having Martinelli. And Saka didn't really seem quite right either. They didn't really have that pace. As you said, Jesus isn't that runner. Havertz was kind of leading the line up there, but not. They'd had some raw pace. I think that's how you hurt City. Yeah. But there we go. So come to show. How did you see that game, Arsenal City? Do you think a more point gain for Arsenal and a point drop for City?
Yeah, I don't think either team wanted to lose, did they? You could tell from both sides. I feel like both of them, like they were both very cautious. And as you mentioned as well, I just wanted to say fair play to Arsenal, because I thought they were defensively fantastic. Bukayo Saka as well was one that really, really stood out for me, putting his body on the line and stuff. And yeah, I think it was a really, really good point for Arsenal, because I think we've seen it in certain games. I think, was it last season with the FA Cup where they kind of crumbled? I think it was the FA Cup. It was one of the cups anyway, where they kind of crumbled a bit, Arsenal. And I feel like maybe
game at the end of the season, didn't they? Which was the title as well, where City steamrolled them.
Yeah, it could be that one. I just feel like they kind of may have learned from that, and Arteta has obviously learned from that. And I thought they did very, very well, Arsenal. It wasn't the best game, and that's coming from a Rochdale fan, but I'm actually quite used to watching those type of games. So, but I think because we all hyped it up so much, the game, it was always going to be one of them. But yeah, I thought it was very, very good from Arsenal, and I agree with Josh when you've got these City fans saying, "Oh, it was a weakened side," and I'm thinking, I wish our weakened side was something like that.
Yeah, where?
It was 20 players. there's 20 players in the team. 2 main players were missing. That's like 10%. 10% of your
Exactly.
team. Give me a break. I support Liverpool. We can tell you about weekend squads.
Certainly, there was just nothing. And I know they had Ake went off, but Rico Lewis is supposed to be their wonder kid. So that everyone else is playing their wonder kids at the minute. We're all playing. You're playing
Ortega's
people like
meant to be
Connor Bradley. We're trying to bring a Kobe Mainu through. You've got. I'm sure Arsenal will throw the youngster in now and again, but.
One City is saying
what's the
Rico
issue?
Lewis is like the pimp daddy. Doku is meant to be the best winger since sliced bread. When all these players are meant to be amazing, they're meant to have the best number 2 keeper in all of the universe of ever known of football. But come on, it was credit where credit's due. It's not because City are tired. It's not because you got weaker players. It's because Arteta outthought Pep, out-tacticated him.
He made it difficult, and City have now got a bit of a. It's still Manchester City, so against majority of teams, you're going to expect them to walk through them because it's just what kind of City do, and we are at that kind of business aspect of the season. But put some pressure on them. Put some pressure on them in a 3-way title race with 2 sides.
Honestly, I'm so sorry. I have to keep going on mute. My chest is so bad. I do apologise, everyone. I have to keep trying to press mute really quick so I don't sound like I'm
water. It looked like some of it went up your nose or something.
Oh no! Oh no!
I love you, Shah.
I love you too.
That's how exciting a game it was for Shah. She's contemplating drowning herself with a bottle of water.
I know.
Claire gives us her analysis. Boring, she says. It was boring. It was rubbish to watch. Absolutely, it was. Spenny fan Chris says as well. I was just wishing Claire a lovely Easter Monday. And Johnny says they didn't run us over this season. There you go. Can be stopped. And Lucy says I, which is. Yeah, there we go. I to you too. We completely agree. So off the back of that game, obviously, points dropped for Manchester City and Arsenal. But prior to that, Liverpool had Brighton and they got the 3 points. So what wasn't all there, and was an afternoon to get through, I think, wasn't it? And they piled the pressure on, and I thought always felt watching it, Liverpool were gonna do Brighton. They had the better of the play. But Josh, were you parts where you were thinking, we're gonna drop here?
I gotta be on because it was my wife's birthday on Sunday, so to celebrate, she went, "Would you like to go to the pub and watch the football?" I was like, "That's why I married you." So we did, and I think as we walked in, Welbeck scored as the goal went in.
What's a goal, by the way?
Yeah.
Do you know what it was? It was a great goal, really, really well taken. She said, and the first thing was, "Oh, look, do you really want to watch the rest of the goal?" Rest of the game, but it's our thing. It's what we do. This season from our 60. I can't remember how many points we've got. About 63 points, 66 points, something like that. 26 of them have come from losing positions. So I fully anticipate we were going to come back. I mean, the only time I did worry a little bit is that was some awful officiating. There were 2 penalties that we could have quite easily had, and I would imagine if it was another team playing, they would have got them. Because I think there's one, I can't remember the defender that wiped out Salah when Salah did his little cheeky turn. And the player's like, "Nope, you're not going past me, me old cocker." And
Lewis Dunk, wasn't it?
I think it was Lewis Dunk.
Yeah, I've seen Liverpool fans on Twitter. I'm not sure it's quite as clear cut as they make it. I think possibly penalty, but not. They're making it out like he's wiped him out from behind. I thought it was a bit clumsy.
It was. Yeah, and it was clumsy defending, but that's a penalty. I mean, if it was other ways on the pitch, it would be given. There was a questionable one where Nunez he did get floored a little bit, but I think those ones are a lot more 50-50, and they give it credit to. And as Johnny said, there was Diaz's offside, and the offside decisions drive me mental. The only thing I think Wenger has said since he's gone to his advisory role that makes any sense is to change the offside rule to clear daylight. That, I think, is the most sensible thing you can do, because when you've got, like, I think Diaz had literally like his rear stud or like the tag on the back of his heel of his boot causing him to be offside. That's ridiculous, because to time these runs, when you watch them in real time, to time those runs to that sort of accuracy, that is a phenomenal skill to do. And and just because you got a fancy design on your trainer doesn't mean that you should be then ruled offside, So that was a bit agitated, but I thought we controlled the game all the way through. I didn't think that we weren't going to win at any point. I wasn't concerned that Brighton might score a goal, another goal at any point. It's the first game I've watched in a while all the way through where Bradley and Kwanzaa have been playing, and Bradley was phenomenal. He's absolutely brilliant. I think the recovery runs that he made, the interceptions he made, the amount of opportunities he made by a tackle high up the pitch when Brighton were trying to break was really good. Kwanzaa was, I'm not sure if you watched any of the game. There was one incident where I remember, I think it was our Dejan Lovren used to think he was a baller, and he would do things in the box, like he'd try and stop and turn on the ball or try to play, and he couldn't do it because he was garbage at that sort of thing, and he used to scare the pants out of me. He did that. Kwanzaa was able to stop the ball, and when he had a player on him, the Brighton player was literally on his back, he still managed to stop, turn it, and then pass the ball out, and that sort of play was really reassuring to see from players of that age who have only played, less than 11 Premier League games between the two of them this season. So that was really good to see. But it was a reassuring performance when you consider we've got about 4 or 5 players that will come back. They're going to add a bit of strength and depth to that squad. Harvey Elliott came on as a substitute, and he was full of energy. Off his fabulous England under age, whatever age it is, and the drinking age in America. I think that's whatever that was. He was really good as well. I think Brighton played good football, but there was a clear difference in class and style in there. It did not make me think that De Zerbi should be coming to Liverpool, though. It didn't. There's nothing there that made me think, they play good enough. I'm happy to take him. No, but it was lovely to see, and then follow that up by the Arsenal City game. What a time to be alive! It's made it quite exciting.
Does that mean you want Southgate instead of De Zerbi then?
No.
It's all coming out now, Sam.
I would still take my grandmother, who passed about 13 years ago.
Don't make me feel awkward. You do this to me every single time.
Do you know what? I'm actually, on the manager front, a lot of people sort of saying, Alonso's staying, Xavi's staying. If you recall, I felt it was a season too early. My only concern is that Klopp's leaving the season too early. I would have liked to have had that extra season of Xavi managing at Leverkusen, so you can see, is it like a one and done, or has he actually got that ability to sustain something over a period of time? And that's my only disappointment with it. So rather than sort of hang our hopes on it, on Xavi, and look for a stopgap manager, I'd almost be tempted by the Portuguese guy whose name I can't say. Almiron.
Well, the Newcastle, you want the Newcastle midfielder?
I was going to say, spoiler.
No, that's a hell of a maverick appointment. I know he was injured at the weekend, but
we know why now.
Yeah. Whatever his name is. But I'd rather sort of go for that where somebody's a little bit younger.
Manager, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the Sporting Lisbon one. I think that'd be interesting. I think my understanding is, I think he came out and said that he's focusing on the job at hand. He's not thinking about anything else going forward. I don't think he's ruled himself. He's given the professional manager response.
Yeah. It's this stage of the season as well. You can't say anything else, really, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I'd judge him if he come out and said, Liverpool, yeah, boy, I'm gone. Check me out. It was a very, very enjoyable game. But no, Sam, to answer your question that you asked 10 minutes ago, no, I wasn't concerned at any point. I was quite comfortable.
Quite comfortable and enjoying Sunday. I thought it was a good game, actually. I like. Yeah. I think Brighton play a way that allow you to have an entertaining and open game. Maybe not like, where maybe Arteta was a bit more pragmatic and clever. Brighton, they have a poor away record. Their away record is what's really undoing. I think that was their 9th loss this season. So the away is really tricky. But there were times they played some nice football in amongst there. And there were periods where, as you said, Conor Bradley did have a good game. But because he was playing so high, it was catching... Dingle was getting in down the left a bit, and that's where Kwanzaa did cover that quite well. But that's where their kind of threat was coming from. And I just thought Liverpool, you just kind of get that inevitability. It was like, well, they're going to equalise. They go behind. because they do. That seems to be what Liverpool have been doing. As you said, got a great record coming back, and Brighton are very
they were Brighton were good.
They're
I said
bright.
to my wife, if they get to 65 minutes and we haven't scored, that's when I might start to get nervous, because that's about the time 65, 70 where Klopp will start making changes. And we had Gakpo and Elliott were our only options off the bench, but then Salah scored on 65. So I was like, she's like, "Are you okay, Mum? I'm about to start chewing my underwear," and then I was fine.
It solved it. Did he did get a finish in. What do you make of Salah at the minute? Because obviously he's come back from this kind of injury. This is his second game back. Was it second or third game back? I know he played in the United game, and he had
his second start.
It's only his second start. Does he? Because he just looks a little bit. And I'm not ruling Salah out, because this is Mo Salah, so you can just see when the title race gets heavy and he's in it. But I think that was the most shots he'd ever had in kind of, and they were. There was quite a few 12. There was quite a few. There's a couple
he
of
was very hero
non-Salah like.
Very hero boyfriend he was.
Yeah, he was.
I was stealing your phrase, Sam. I had to explain it to everyone. In the
boyfriend.
Well, they were told he was just, because when they showed that, said, as in a good thing. They said, "Oh, look, he's had so many. He's really got involved. He's like 12 shots." I was like, "Yeah, but some of them really, I would have said about 4 or 5 of those are just silly, where he just shouldn't be happening." I think I don't know. He's always been a funny one, where he's never looked happy playing on the pitch in the whole time he's been there. I think that's him. I think that's more of a personality thing, that when he's in the game, and it's a different mindset than what he's like off the pitch, and he seems to be quite focused on what he's doing. But I do think he does get a little bit like he's going to win everything off his own back. And there were times where, I don't think we need him to do that this season. Now, at the start of the season, certainly last season, we needed him to do that. We needed him to win us games last season. But this year, I don't think we do so much. And he's trying really hard all the time. And I don't know. I would be upset. I wouldn't be upset if he left. I'd be sad if he went, and a little bit worried, because I think he's something like one of only 4 players, something like that have scored 25 goals in their time in the Premier League over 7 seasons. I think 7 seasons he's had over 25 goals in the Premier League, and I think only like Alan Shearer, Les Ferdinand, and one other, I think, has done that. So his contributions, you cannot write it off. And anybody that tries to argue that he isn't a Premier League legend or one of the best strikers we've ever seen, you're just either being tremendously biased or a bit of a buffoon, because he is quality. I think he's at a turning point over the next. I think next season, if he's to stay next season, and I don't know if he will, I think that will be his last season at the peak of his powers, if you like, because I do think he's starting to go on the wane, and his mindset is still a little bit like hero boyfriend, to quote a fine man that I know.
I think it's this next 12 months, I think, will be big, because they've got to make a decision. You've got Klopp going, and you're in a situation, I think, similar to when Manchester United lost Ronaldo to Real Madrid. Okay, Ronaldo was early in his career, but you can't replace that player. That's Salah. You cannot replace what Salah is and what he does. So you've got to find something else, and some stage they're going to have to pull the trigger. Did they want Salah to try and help this new manager in that kind of first year? That might make sense, but then again,
I would be. I think if you had a choice between Salah and Virgil van Dijk going, because I think they're both in the last 12 months, I would be more comfortable with Salah going. Virgil, I think we need to keep, because even if he's only got another good season in him, that's fine. I think you need that, because you need that mindset and his character and his personality in the squad. And I think the way that we play and the way that the team has been performing, we didn't have Salah for a large period this season. We've still top of the league, churning results out without him there. So I think it'll be an interesting 12 months. It'll be a difficult transition, because I think if a new manager comes in, I worry that they'll want to impress him to try and keep him. And I don't think he's a pivotal player that we need to be keeping. You want to keep him because he's quality and he's who he is, but the players just that you need to impress are in the last parts of their contract, like Virgil van Dijk. And, because apparently Real Madrid want Trent, because, Real Madrid are never linked to players, unless they really mean it. So I think there are other players we need to focus on. And I would worry if you try and pander to him too much, it'll be at the detriment of what we can do as a team.
Yeah, they're going to big decisions to make over Salah for sure. But he's in this title race. Liverpool are very much in this title race. It's going to be interesting. We won't go too much in this because we could spend a whole episode on Mo Salah. As good he is, still wouldn't get into an all-time Premier League 11, says Wakey Mank. That's a discussion point on its own. We won't go there because we'll be on for hours if we start to talk about maybe in the summer a Premier League 11 can be discussed. But at the minute, we've got more Premier League games to talk about. Wowzers, an exciting one for sure. 6-goal thriller at Sheffield United. Sheffield United looked like there were 3 points coming their way. The fight back was beginning, but no, they were pegged back by Fulham. 3-3.
I think it's one of them as well, isn't it? Like, I know we'll come on to the next game as well, the Spurs one, but I just feel like when you're at the bottom, things like this happen, doesn't it? As much as, like, obviously it was such an exciting game, we were just never going to get the win. But yeah, I just want to say as well, Diaz, what a player he is for Sheffield United, and what a couple of good goals. Brereton Diaz. So yeah, the first goal. I know, that's why I call him Diaz. I just call him Diaz.
It's like old English, isn't it, Beverton?
Brereton Diaz, yeah. So yeah, his first goal was from a McBurney ball straight onto Diaz's side foot. A really, really good goal. But then they weren't in the lead for that long. Fulham did equalise from a Pereira corner, and it was straight onto Polina's head. A brilliant glancing header it was as well. Sheffield United, though, they did take the lead again, and this time it was Diaz returning the favour to McBurney. A free kick taken quite quickly. Diaz put the ball back to McBurney, who then got the second to restore their lead. And then they actually took the lead again. They actually scored another 3-1. So yeah, their third goal was a really good bit of football, to be fair, as well. A podcast favourite, and Simon will know him well. Gustavo Hamer whipped in a cracking ball to Diaz again, who got their third and his second of the game. Then they actually made it 4-1. This is Sheffield United. They actually made it 4-1. McBurney scored that, but VAR did rule it out as, is it Vinny? I can't say his name. Vinny
Souza. Sounds like a cocktail.
Yeah.
Vinny Souza.
Yeah, he was actually offside.
It was in casino.
I know. Vinny Souza was actually offside. But then, in true Sheffield United fashion, they let Fulham get back into the game. Some really horrific defending from Sheffield United. Within seconds from the disallowed goal, Fulham managed to get back into the game with a very good goal from, I can't even say his name. Is it Bobby De Cordova?
De Cordova Reed, yeah.
De Cordova, yeah, Reed goal. And if you haven't seen it as well, please give it a watch, because it is a really, really good finish. A really good finish. I think it did hit the post and then go in. And then Fulham were just on a high after that. And after the second goal, they really did push on for an equaliser. And it came thanks to, is he called Muniz?
Rodrigo Muniz. Oh, he's on a tear, and he hit the woodwork twice as well, didn't he?
8 goals in 8 games, and it was an overhead kick as well. A really, really good goal. So honestly, I'm sorry, Johnny, for bigging up Fulham, because I know you are our Sheffield United fan, but that goal was honestly so good. And a really well-deserved point for Fulham. And they could have actually gone on to win the game. I think it was the last kick of the game, and they had a chance, but it went straight to the goalkeeper. So, yeah, really, really entertaining game. But I don't know if any of you saw Chris Wilder's celebrations when they were 3-1 up. It really like went for the celebrations, and obviously it got a bit of his taste for his own medicine when Fulham came back and equalised.
Even when they were going ahead, I was still thinking, but you just know how many.
Happen.
I mean, Mr. Lucas said, I can defend better than some of the Sheffield United centre backs, and Johnny, our Sheffield United fan, just agrees. He says our defence is crap. So yeah, it was
horrific.
Fulham's away form is horrendous. They've only won, I think, one in the last 14 away from home. So, I'm not surprised they kind of found themselves in a sticky, even against Sheffield United, a sticky situation there. But they can score some goals now. I'm having Muniz in, because that was my criticism of Fulham early on this season, was where the goals are coming from. But Muniz has added such a different different dynamic to them.
Well, isn't he?
Oh, he's smashing it, sort of 8 goals in there. Was he there last season, back end of last season? He's just kind of absolutely
I think he
saw them
was.
through. He made my dream team this week as well, so I wasn't happy at all
Love
about
it.
those woodworks.
He's like coming
Incidents.
out of nowhere, it feels like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With some sexy play.
All
Yeah, they
three of
needed a
Fulham's
striker.
goals were really good. All 3 of Fulham's goals. There was obviously that one that I was saying about the side foot as well. From Sheffield United, that was a really good one. But if you watch all 3 of Fulham's goals, even that
Palinha's
glancing header, that was brilliant.
It's just always next kind of. He's
It's like a
twirling
glancing
around.
header, weren't it? Yeah,
it's,
it was quality.
Power.
They're
Power
not
neck.
becoming subtly enjoyable, aren't they, Fulham? You sort of like want to follow their games because they've gone from being sort of like meh to like actually being quite joyful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I said about their poor away form, but you look at their at home, they beat Tottenham 3-0, beat Brighton 3-0, beat Bournemouth 3-1, have been playing well as well. They've beaten Arsenal at home as well. You know, they've come to Old Trafford and they outplayed us like a lot of teams have. And they've had a couple of smashing wins as well. Fulham can play some really, really good football, and they're doing a great job, and it's sort of quietly gone about their business, haven't they? So, you know, they are a well-established Premier League side without a doubt now, kind of in that mid-table.
It just worries me though, because I feel like there'll be a lot of interest in a couple of their players over obviously summer, like we saw with Palinha as well. In the summer, I think a bigger club will come in for him.
Palinha was 20 minutes from the Bayern Munich transfer, wasn't he? So
that worries
that's
me.
Coming again.
That does worry me. But as you mentioned as well, was it you, Sam, in our Discord chat and mentioned about Calvin Phillips maybe going to somewhere like Fulham? It would have been the worst move for him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I think someone will come in for Palinha this summer. I think Palinha goes, and someone like a Phillips could sort of still keep that sort of ticking. And
if he's in a role where he matters, I think it might make a difference to him, because that's the only thing at like West Ham is like he has to fight to get into a position. But if he's coming into a place to slot straight into that role, so he knows where he's at and what he's doing, that might work well. But I quite like Fulham at the moment. I love their away kit.
Oh, they've got some nice kits. Yeah, doing a good job. Heather says they thought they'd struggle without Mitrovic, but actually, that's always been the worry. Mitrovic went quite late on. They had Jimenez, who's never quite been the same since. I mean, Jimenez still scored 5 goals this season, so compared to this recent, but Muniz has really turned it on something else. So they're doing fantastically well. So 3-3 draw there. Talking of late goals in games and teams near the bottom, we come to Everton with, I feel bad because Seamus Coleman seems like we like Seamus Coleman. Isn't he the only Game 2 ambassador of male football in the Premier League show, isn't he? I think Seamus Coleman as well. I think we've given him props in the past.
I'm pretty sure he is. And yeah, he's such a nice guy as well. He does so much. But I can't remember what milestone it was on, but it was a certain milestone for him as well. At the weekend when he scored that own goal, I saw it. I heard it in the comments. I can't remember what it was.
It was, and it's the own goal. So, Josh, tell us what happened to Everton and Bournemouth getting the job done at the weekend.
I've got a theory about Everton because they can't really seem to finish. I mean, their play. I mean, I would say they probably outplayed Bournemouth in a large amount of the game. I mean, I think the stats were pretty even throughout, but for me, I would say they'd lean in the favour of Everton, having had slightly more of the ball. They were slightly more creative, and they played quite well. But it's that final third that they just can't seem to finish it. And one of the things I noticed was they're putting a lot of confidence and a lot of faith in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he has the tightest shorts. And
is this where he's going wrong?
I think his shorts are too tight, and it's cutting the circulation off to the rest of his body and to his legs. And
are you saying that's a man that needs some baggy trousers?
I do. I think in the words of in the words of madness, he needs some baggy trousers because that's how it. Because I was watching the game and I thought, God, his ass looks defined in them shorts.
You don't get this analysis on Match of the Day, people. I'm telling you. This is an absolute podcast special.
And I did think that, and I thought maybe that's what it is, because his shots, he seems to be pulling his shots a bit. There's not a lot of power in what he's doing, and he just doesn't seem to have that sort of confidence to put things away and finish it. And I think it's his circulation's being restricted.
Circulation
And
issues.
it's
So Simon
affected-
says he hasn't scored in DCL hasn't scored in so long. No, that's not even the right comment. Hang on, we will get. This is what happens when you don't have a mouse. DCL hasn't scored in so long. Heather believes that they're tight enough. Josh, you've missed it, Charlotte. Talking about
we can ask Charlotte.
tight shorts.
I was saying, I think the reason I think that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is missing so much is his shorts are too tight. Because I just happened to notice.
I've not been looking.
If you're not, check it out next time. He had a very defined arse in his shorts this week, just before he took his shot. And I thought, they look tight. And so I watched to see if anyone else's shorts were quite that tight. And they weren't. And we all know he's a bit of a fashionista. So maybe it's a deliberate fashion choice he's made. I like to accentuate my buttocks, my rounded, shapely buttocks. And it's affecting his lower body strength. But, I mean, Bournemouth, they played well. Their attacking moves were good. And it was very, very silky when they got the ball and they got up to that sort of final third and they were making chances. They did play quite well, but I did think Everton, if they were able to finish, if they had that sort of front three or a sort of some of attacking trident or something going on, that they'd be able to put some of them shots away. And they could have won that game. They had opportunities and they were in the position to do it. But I feel for them because a lot of fans now. I mean, I was in my research looking at Everton fan TV and watching the game just to see what their input is, and they're all blaming Dyche Ball. They're very much anti-Dyche at the moment, but they're doing it. They're buttocks. I thought
you shall receive.
I thought they said, "Please show me buttocks," Josh. For a moment, I was going to say that's our absolutely after hours podcast.
That happens on the lower league show. I'm joking. It doesn't.
Not quite buttocks, but I think if they could get a striker with confidence, they could do something because they had opportunity to put Brighton to the sword. But fair play to Brighton, the goals were good goals. Their attacking play was quite silky, and they're another one a bit like Fulham, where they've sort of just been silently doing their business and plopping themselves up nice in a sort of nice, comfortable position. Look at Lucy, don't show it. What do you mean? I've got lovely, shapely buttocks.
That's just because all the audio listeners will be jealous. I'm sure that's why.
That's true. People will be flocking to us. But yeah, it was a good game. I just feel for Everton because what you going to do? I mean, that Beto goal in itself that was quite questionable because I would argue, well, the ball was knocked out of the keeper's hands by who and whether Beto influenced that. But it is what it is. But Seamus Coleman, it's just sad. Isn't it sad? But yeah, it was a good game. Everton, if they had a striker, could do more. But Bournemouth playing some good football. And Dominic Solanke, I think, I believe he has now scored more goals in his first season than any other Bournemouth player, and perhaps might be their top goal scorer of any Premier League season.
I think so, yeah. He's on 16 now, and I think they were saying he's either just gone past or level with Callum Wilson, I think, isn't it? I think he's from the season that he had, but he's having a stonker, isn't he?
Do you know what gets me, though? I feel like with Solanke, because he plays for Bournemouth and he doesn't play for a top team, he's not getting the credit. And I feel like he has had such a good season. I really, really do. I feel like he just doesn't get enough credit as he should because he's not playing for a top club. And that's no disrespect. That's no disrespect to Bournemouth whatsoever. It's just me saying I feel like they need to look more at the lower teams in the Premier League because they've got some really, really good players as well, and they're smashing it, especially him.
Yeah, I think he's one of those as well. People dismiss players like that because Solanke obviously had a period at Chelsea, at Liverpool, and it didn't work out, and they kind of get tarred with the brush that they're not good enough. And it's just the setup. Chelsea's a very difficult club to come through anyway, and so Liverpool, if you're not at it as well, then you're not going to get a lot of time either. And that didn't work out either. So, and he's still, really young. Solanke, I don't know how old he is now, but he made those moves at really young age. So, yeah. I mean, he's very much. Heather says he should have been in the squad over Tony. He's had a better since Tony's come back. I think Solanke's been better this second half of the season. Not saying that Tony's not a fantastic player, and I think Tony offers a lot of qualities for that.
26,
26 now, so he should be peak. So striker, 26, 27, 28 is kind of your peak, isn't it? So he should be smashing it, and he's doing really well. I mean, how Everton could do with a striker like Dominic Solanke. I mean,
I think he would make the difference because that's what they haven't got. Someone with that confidence
haven't
up
got
there
goals.
and the ability to do stuff. Yeah.
I mean, they're 18th in the statistics for goals scored, and they've got the 19th in the statistics for shots on target percentage as well. So they're just all those metrics. They're low, and they haven't won in 12
really
games. Yeah, they haven't won in 12 games. They're just not since Burnley in November. So they're on a real slide, and there's still question marks over FFP.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest. If it wasn't most of the Everton fans I interact with, they're all mentals on Twitter, apart from the people that we actually have on the podcast. So I'm not sure whether we've got the exceptions or whether the mentals on Twitter are the exceptions. But it's getting to a point now where even with the point deductions, they sort of almost, compared to the other teams below them and the way that they're playing, you almost now, my sort of begrudgingness about Everton going down is almost sort of disappeared, you know?
Yeah, it is looking exactly. They are doing it to themselves. I think there's a lot of chat going on about a new Absolute Football podcast show as well. I don't think Graham wants Absolute Buttocks. Apparently, new show, also a pre-watershed way to describe a bad referee/VAR decision. That there could be Absolute Buttocks decisions of the week.
I've got one as well.
Bored with that.
We're talking about that one on Thursday. No, I'm not getting my buttocks out.
Everyone's tuning in now. Charlotte's buttocks live on Thursday.
Graham came up with Shah's Jazz as well.
Exactly, yeah. Thursday's turning into a whole different show. Entirely.
I tell you what, you're being what's the word? I can't think of the word now. Where you treat someone as an objectified. You're being objectified on Thursdays then with the chat.
I know. They're pimping me out, aren't they?
See, we watch you for your football analysis, and them lot down there, they just don't get it. They just don't get it.
Oh,
that's an added bonus.
They want me for my body.
The sexy body.
It's the accent. He did it with they want me for my body.
Oh, my chest.
Oh, dear.
Where's that tangent gone?
Yeah, so Everton are in trouble. That's what we take by that. Absolute buttocks for Everton, not looking good. Talking of things that happened at the end. Tottenham 2. Who did Tottenham play? Somebody won. I can't remember.
Rob Edwards.
Tottenham 2. Luton 1. Oh.
I actually researched this game as well because you asked me to, Sam.
Did.
You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to pretend you watched it and everything.
Just exactly. I just pick these games at random and someone knows something about them.
My defense,
magic of the pod.
I'm here because you scraped the babble.
He was too busy getting his buttocks out.
I was.
Photocopying them. You'd be the one in that office photocopier at Christmas.
It was the one's birthday. That's a different show. I felt, do you know what? I felt sorry again for Luton, Sam, because they play really well. Do you know what? They play so well. I mean, they were right at it. I mean, the goal by Chong at the start was a good goal, really well worked, and they were off straight away. And I think Spurs, I'm trying to figure out whether Postecoglou isn't quite good enough to get that high consistent standard, or if the squad isn't quite good enough to play his style in the way that he's trying to get. Because there's something not quite right. Because if they didn't win that game, I wouldn't. The fact that they won, I don't say that's 100% deserved victory, because I think that the own goal was really unfortunate. And, you know, I've seen people like, well, Werner was there anyway with a tap. I don't know if he would have, because Werner did miss some crackers in the game. Son's goal at the end was a deflection, and the goals from Spurs and the opportunities they had were self-inflicted by Luton, who haven't got that squad quite to play really at this level. What's getting them is their attitude, the tactics, the attitude, and like the work rate is what's driving them, which is really impressive. So they are going to create these little issues that they've created for themselves. So it wasn't Spurs undoing them most of the time. It felt like it was Luton undoing themselves, and Spurs, being the Premier League team they are, taking advantage of it. So it was a really difficult game to sort of watch and judge who should have won it, because I would have put it. It could have gone either way. I wouldn't have been surprised if it went either way. But like you said, the teams at the bottom just can't get a break. And Spurs have, because they have got those good players like Son, who knows the positions to get into, knows where to be when the breaks are going to happen. So they managed to pick it up. But it was an interesting game, disappointing for Luton and Spurs. I can't work them out. And there seems to be a lot of unrest in the Spurs camp with their fans, whether some are unhappy with Postecoglou, someone unhappy with the players. They're moaning about, should we sign Werner or not? And I think it's his first season. It's his first season. And it's not even like, it's like 3/4 of the way through his first season. And at least you can see what he's doing. He's got a plan. And like I said, for me, you've got to give him at least another season to see, for me, whether it's him not quite being able to coach it right, to get it tactically right, or if it's just the players are not quite who he needs to be, because they also had some injuries in their season. And, Werner's come in and is the answer up front. They've not quite solved that striker issue either at the moment. But it was interesting. If they were in the Championship, I think they'd be doing all right, Spurs. But I think they're at their level at the moment. They are at the pinnacle where they sit in the league. I think it's at the pinnacle of where they should be at the moment, based on their ability. But they've got to give them another season. All the Spurs fans are complaining. It's mental.
It's like we said at West Ham. I just don't get it, because I know everyone in football is so short-lived and their memories are so short. But take yourself back to if we go back to the summer, everyone wrote Spurs off as being, they're going to take some time. This is a mess. Everyone had them 7th, 8th in their predictions. I think generally across the board, I was seeing Tottenham weren't even mentioned. In 5th place, which has, I think they said, an 80% chance of being a Champions League spot. They've been winning lots of games. They've been playing some good, attractive football. Postecoglou's installed a new methodology. And there's times it's not going to work, as you said, for various reasons. Players coming back from injury, stuff not quite happening. Maybe there's 1 or 2 tweaks he needs to make and players he needs to bring in. I can't understand the unrest. Like, what do you expect? It's like Tottenham were I know, because they had that great start, everyone thought they were in a title race. But I think realistically, everyone went, we need to see where this goes. They picked up those injuries. They dropped off. They finished 5th this season. That's fantastic first season for me, for Postecoglou. Especially if that gets them Champions League. That's huge for them next season.
You couldn't get it. I can't see how you could be expected to do any better than 5th. If they finished 7th, I would have thought that'd be a good season for them, because they were good teams in there. Some teams, I mean, even United, I could have seen finishing above them, because at least they would have had a manager at the start of the season. They thought they've had a manager who's done a full season, making some signs. I would have expected 7th as the top for them, and then next season you would have seen what Postecoglou, a bit more of what he's all about. But this, I think it just needs time. It needs time to click. There's something not quite finished there, but it's not going to be quite finished because the guy hasn't even done a year yet. But you can see his style, you can see what they're doing, and they just need something else. Give him another player or 2 to let him build his style around. That'd be great. But Luton, I'm willing them. They had chances as well. They did have opportunities, and I don't know what
they're so good going forward. I like how just free they are, the way they attack, and they look at their attacking stats. They're really good. Goals scored, they're mid-table. They've got goals per shot on target. They're really high up. They're really clinical, and they are getting stuff. And they've got Adebayo and Morris have scored some goals. Barkley's chipped in with a few. Or Benner, they've got some great attacking players, and they've rescued a few games with some late equalisers, haven't they? Because it just hasn't quite gone their way. But you look at them, how many of their games they're losing by a goal, or they're not taking.
It's like that inexperience. They haven't quite got that Premier League experience anywhere, really, because even like their Premier League players like Ross Barkley hasn't really got high quality Premier League experience, and neither is the manager. So they're all doing the best with what they can do. And I'm desperate for them to get another season, because I think if they have got another season, they can make only literally like 2 or 3 signings tops, but one of them be like an experienced head, either like a DM, defensive midfielder, or centre back, to try and manage that.
What a player for that, wouldn't they? I think even the fee for that. I think Luton
they'd have to sell their stadium
in the summer for like 3 million. I think Man City will have to really be doing on the cheap.
But that's all they need. I think they had somebody with a bit of experience in there, because they were trying to play it out the back at some times and trying to play around with it too much, especially towards the latter end of the game when your legs are starting to lag a little bit. And Tottenham Hotspur have got more seasoned players at that level, so their fitness levels are going to be better. They're used to that level of intensity, and their experience is there. You got Son in the right place at the right time, reserving energy, making those breaks right, and that's the thing that I think that put Spurs over the edge. I think if this was Luton Town, if they do another Premier League season, if this game happened again next season, I don't think Spurs would have won it.
Yeah, it's a shame for Luton. It seems to be drifting off, but teams are dropping points everywhere. Their next few games are not. They've got Arsenal away. They've got Bournemouth at home, Man City away. But then Brentford, Wolves, Everton, West Ham, Fulham. There's potentially some points there. The Everton game is going to be massive, I think. Absolutely massive.
Definitely.
2 games in the end. Really exciting, that one.
Can I just mention as well, like on Spurs, and as we mentioned about Calvin Phillips before, I don't know if anybody saw the Richarlison interview, and I just want to say like how good and how brave he was for coming out about his mental health struggles. And I just wanted to say, as much as these footballers are in the limelight, you just think the more people are attacking them and the more people are putting them down and screaming abuse at them, you don't know what they're actually going through. And we've all like made fun of like Richarlison, like missing chances and things like that. But you just think what he's gone through. And I think it was so brave of him to just come out with raw emotions and just tell everybody like how he's been feeling. I really do. So I just wanted to kind of like come on here and say that, because I know we've been speaking about Calvin Phillips and how like his confidence and stuff. So I just wanted to say that about Richarlison.
No, it's right, show. It's massive, and this is it. When you're talking about, and people talk about players' demeanours, I find it a bit when people are criticising players that for their effort or this, that, and the other. And we had it with Dele Alli, didn't we, in the summer? And everybody then went, oh, but you saw people absolutely going in, and it is you never know. Yeah. It's not just footballers; it's everybody. No one ever knows really what's going on with somebody, and pundits and that, of course, have to comment on games and what they see. So you can't understand everything that's going on with somebody, but
it's somebody balance, isn't it?
Because you've got to have that. You've got to have that analysis, haven't you? But at the same time,
you've got to be able to accept the level of critique, but it's what that critique is and how it's presented, and with what sort of. I mean, throughout the week, you don't need fans every single week saying things like, you're effing awful, get out of my club, you're useless. If he's played a game and then there's analysis afterwards where people are saying, that's you've not played well, that's fine. And there needs to be, and that's what we're missing, I think, in society in general. There isn't that balance of a response, a mature, measured critique and just pure abuse. And that's there's a line that people cross, and it is social media's the devil in that, because it's 100%. So faceless.
And football-wise, he's answered things as well. He scored 10 goals this season, Richarlison, and has been important for that Tottenham side. So, with all this going on, he has turned his form around.
Definitely. I feel like, as a football fan, we're more than entitled to have our opinion and say about performances, because at the end of the day, we're paying our hard-earned money, whether it's to watch it on TV, whether it's to go and watch it at a match. I think you are more than entitled to have your opinion on that player's performance in the game, but I think you are overstepping the line when you get personal, whether that means attacking them, attacking the way they look, attacking the family, anything like that is a no-go. Yes, say that they've not played well in this performance, fair enough, but don't just get personal. That's not for me.
No, and so it's good to see someone like Richarlison doing it, because it comes out and it's not. Hopefully, that motivates other players who might find to speak, other people in sports or football or in general. All those things, I think, to see people like that at the highest level of kind of sport, it does link, because people might be struggling, and to be able to see someone like Richarlison, someone like Dele Alli, take the bravery to come and speak out will be massive for people maybe to go and do something about it themselves and help themselves where they can. So, no, definitely a massive point to make sure, for sure. Right, let's have a little look what the league table is looking at and some of those other fixtures we haven't discussed yet, which we'll go through quickly as well. So there we are at the top. Let's get rid of that because we can't see the points. We can't see the points, which is all important at the top because it is very close at the top. We, of course, have Liverpool leading the way with 67. We have Arsenal second on 65. And we have Manchester City on 64. Is that? I think it is. My eyes are terrible with this table. The other game, Aston Villa remained in fourth. They got a 2-0 win over Wolves. They weren't absolutely at it, but they got the job done. So a good home victory again for Aston Villa there. Spoke about Tottenham. team that did not play well on Saturday night. Played rather poorly, actually. Rather poorly indeed. Manchester United won. Brentford won.
Where was the coverage of that, Samuel?
I can give you coverage if you want.
You missed Charles' magic moment, amongst other things.
This is why I'm bringing it up now, so we can come to it. But I gave you lots of time on Liverpool because I'm very generous. You see, I'm very generous.
Nothing to do with wanting to avoid it.
Oh God. If that was the case, I'd never be on this season. Christ, we've had so many of these performances. Awful, just awful. The amount of shots they gave up, the amount of touches, almost the record in terms of touches in the opposition's box. If there's a way to, off the back of the Liverpool FA Cup game, okay, we had the international break. What a way to just completely lose all momentum from something like that and put in such a turgid, poor performance.
Can I ask, Sam, what do you think? I mean, I've always said, I know United get up for a Liverpool game, always get up for it one way or the other. But what do you think changed so drastically? Because it was some massive change in like attitude, style of play, just everything.
It was massive off. I think because in that particular FA Cup game, we benefited off the chaos. Do you know what I mean? We benefit off chaos and moments, and Liverpool dominated large periods of that second half. It was, we were getting battered in that game at times, but then we were able to create chaos and create moments. That's the problem. There's no structure in the way that we're kind of playing. We're so open to play against. And I think against somebody like Liverpool, we're a bit more cautious and careful because we know you can rip us open if we're not a little bit more structurally. And we were quite defensively, structurally sound in that game, yet we still conceded 3 times. But against Brentford, the gaps, I mean, there's so many things wrong that have consistently been wrong. And this is why Ten Hag's coming under pressure, because we're seeing things going, but we're not doing anything about this, it appears. Either the tactics don't get through to the players aren't following it, the players don't believe in the manager. The way they're walking through our midfield is scary. The gaps between midfield and defence is scary. McTominay touched the ball 27 times. He made 27 passes in centre midfield. How can you make, and 14 of those he gave possession away. That's just dreadful. One shot between the attacking 3. It's just this is what it is. You just can't predict what Manchester United are going to do. Cannot predict what Manchester United are going to do. So I mean, they could turn up, they could not turn up, and who knows? Next we've got Chelsea on Thursday and Liverpool again on Sunday. And I just don't know what to expect. You fear that if we don't turn up, we'll get battered. But if we do, then something like the FA Cup is possible. We can create chaos. But it's not a long-term solution to. There's some big decisions to be made in the summer.
My last question I'll ask of you just on the United, because it's a pivotal time in the club. You've got it looks like proper, whether they're part owners or what, they're taking charge at the moment and setting things up sensibly in the background, but it's like a proper pivotal time where logically for me the move you would make was just to throw everything out, maybe sack the manager, get rid of all the players and come straight at and start again, which isn't going to happen.
No,
given it's more likely normally to get rid of the manager because it's easier. But I mean, what as a United fan, I'm one of the more logical, sensible Man United fans that exist in this sort of format. Do you think it is get rid of the manager and some players that you can, or keep the manager because he's been there for a little while and has some pedigree and ship out the players? Or what do you think the best answer would be, and what do you think will be the answer?
There's no doubt you need to ship out some of the players, but we keep having this cycle where we can end up with some deadwood. We keep having to shift, and hopefully this mantra is now changing with the new recruitment model, and we're going to get away from giving older players ridiculously, stupidly long, expensive contracts that are then hard to move them on with, because you've got big decisions to make over people like Varane, Casemiro at the end, and you need to then be focusing on the key players for the future, like Kobbie Mainoo, like Højlund, like Garnacho, those kind of people that you need to start to build around. Onana. It's actually it's been one of my least problems. Actually, Onana's been one of the least worries in recent. That shows how far we dropped off elsewhere. Ten Hag is a very, very interesting one, because there are things where I don't want to be a sack the manager, do something different, and we've seen this before. The players kind of don't follow what's going on, and some of what he actually, I've been quite critical of some of his analysis recently, but after the game, some of the stuff he was saying, I agreed with. But then I'm also like, do you know how to change that then? Because that's not a recipe for success. You know, you're seeing what I'm seeing, but what are we doing that's different to what we're doing? And I think that is ultimately what might cost him. He's got some huge games coming up. This next week he's got to perform well. Champions League for me is done. They're not getting Champions League. They won't. The games that we've got are really difficult. Outside of the fact we've got to play Liverpool, we've got to play Arsenal at Old Trafford. We've still got to go to places like Bournemouth, who turned us over at Old Trafford. That's not an easy one. I think we've got Brighton again. There are games that are banana skins everywhere, and I think they'll be massive. And how he performs in the FA Cup semi-final, of course, as well. I know Simon's given it the big uns in the chat, so I will. Shows how bad United are. That's how all Coventry fans wanted. I'm sure that's what Cardiff felt today as well, actually, wasn't it? They had a decent result against Coventry. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is with Den Haag. I'm hoping that one way or the other it will become clear. But they are making moves elsewhere. We've seen in the background, I think today they've made an approach for one of Southampton's directors as well. So they're clearly putting that structure in place. And I would think they've already made the decision on the manager, to be honest. Who the next person is if it isn't Ten Hag, God knows.
Southgate and all of his coaching team.
No, he's going Liverpool in.
You know what? I will slash his tyres.
Oh, giving it the big.
I will. I'll go up and I'll tell him straight. I say, "Oh, Gaz."
He was, but with all that negativity, Mason Mount's back. Mason Mount is back.
Do you not think he scored at the perfect time, getting his first goal? And it did annoy me because I thought you have just totally ruined his moment here, like by conceding. But Chelsea's obviously the next game, and I think it's a perfect moment to score, and then hopefully it'll kick on. I just loved as well, to be fair to him, how everybody celebrated with him, because I think he's had a really, really tough time, Mason Mount, obviously with injuries. But I've actually seen it as well, that apparently he has been suffering with things like personal stuff, because a few issues have gone on as well. So, yeah, I'm really happy for Mason Mount, because obviously with the price tag and stuff, I thought there was a lot of, like, it did have to kind of prove himself. And I know he's not proved himself yet, but he's came on, he scored that goal. So let's see what he can do now.
Good goal as well.
It was a
very
good
finish.
I think as well from United fans, we just want to see how, because Mount was one when he was signed, for the fee that he was signed, we went, that's a lot. Yeah. But there's a good Premier League player there. I think it was just the fee that made everyone go, well, okay, we're not
definitely.
sure. But it was how are we going to deploy him? Because that was the question. We've got Bruno playing as kind of the 10. And we've not seen it because he keeps getting injured. So it's kind of like, okay, if you put Mount in, what was the plan for Mount? Does that change things? Does that make us look better, or are we still wide open like a barn door? You know,
you've got to clip that sound, by the way, Sam. We were like,
what are we doing? What are we doing, Eric? What are we doing?
Yeah. Vincent de Souza, Vincent Ruiz, or whatever that player was.
So yeah, Manchester United poor with a but this is even it. It would have been daylight robbery, but because it's Manchester United, everyone goes and it's like we still drew. We were poor, but we still drew. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's like Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea drew 2-2 with Burnley. Not a single piece of coverage. Not a single piece of coverage.
They're not a big club though, like you. They're not a massive club like you lot.
Yeah, they've got a massive squad. I can tell you that.
In the bin, Chelsea. Who are Chelsea?
That was awful. So Chelsea drew 2-2 with Burnley against 10 men. Got pulled back twice. I mean, apart from Cole Palmer, that whole side is a disaster. They'll probably beat us on Thursday, but I'm not sure really what that will tell them.
Confidence now. I want updates. I want updates in my lower league, because I'll be doing the lower league one. So I want updates. I want Mason Mount updates. So yeah, he's going to score.
Don't let Cole Palmer do them silly goal celebrations as well. When you're not winning a game or playing well, silly goal celebrations don't have any place in my book.
Having said that, the game we played against Chelsea, he has absolutely carried them.
He's carried that team.
When we played Chelsea earlier in the season, they're the most open side I've seen all season. So I'm actually quite looking forward to it. It should be it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be bonkers whatever happens in that. Bonkers. Also, Nottingham Forest won,
Hey.
Crystal Palace won, so it's a point for Forest, gets them out of the relegation zone, but they would have probably looked at that and thought we could have done with 3 points.
Yeah.
So a drop for them as well. So it's very, very, very tight at the bottom. Very tight at the bottom. Point. And we've got games this midweek as well. Lots of games coming up. Very exciting.
Football for days.
It's football. But anything else on the Premier League before we jump on a plane and go around the lovely, lovely places in Europe? No, we're done.
Enough England.
Nothing. We've had enough of England, but we haven't had enough of La Liga. We haven't seen La Liga for a little while because all sorts of stuff's been going on. But Real Madrid continued to win. Real Madrid won again. 2-0 over Athletic Bilbao, who are doing quite well themselves. Double goal for Rodrigo, and he scored a brilliant goal in that game. They've got Manchester City coming up as well, but Real Madrid look to be pummeling on their way to the title, just ahead of Barcelona, who have gone on a bit of a tear themselves, actually, and put themselves strongly into second place. It was a win for the top three as well, because my Girona are hanging on in there as a late goal from Christian Stuani. Remember him? Used to play for Middlesbrough once upon a time. Scored after Dovbyk scored twice for Girona, and Da Silva scored twice for Real Betis, but 3-2 for Girona. They did the business. Athletic Madrid, I don't know what the score is. They were playing Villarreal today, and they won 2-1. 2-1 for Atletico Madrid. Lovely, because Villarreal have been on a nice little tear themselves mid-table. So Atletico Madrid, does that put them in fourth? I don't know. My eyes won't tell me. Let's have a look. Let's make that bigger. Yes, I think they jump over Athletic Bilbao back into fourth place. So there we go. Diego Simeone will be a very, very happy man. Is he ever a happy man? Who knows?
Angry man.
He's a very, very angry man.
Incidentally, Simeone is the best played manager in world football.
Best played. What does that mean?
Best paid manager.
Best played manager.
Best
played. That man's been played.
I think he's on something ridiculous. I think it's something like 10 million more than the closest manager. Something mental like that. That's
amazing. That's crazy. Very, very
for you.
Yes, very, 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 very lucrative deal he's got himself on there. Elsewhere, you've got at the bottom, we've got Celta Vigo. Celta Vigo, I think, drew. Am I right in saying they drew? Yes, they did with Rayo Vallecano, so they just stay outside the relegation zone. And Almeria's win last week was unfortunately followed up by another loss. They're back in the red, and they're almost caught Granada. They might not even finish bottom. There is a real battle on at the bottom of La Liga.
Only countries that won one game and 2 games.
It's not looking good. Osasuna beating Almeria 3-0, so not going too well for them. But yeah, it looks like it is Real Madrid's to lose. So next up is, I don't have any notes on Serie either, but Inter Milan have pretty much
just get Charlotte to do it.
Pretty much. We've got Inter Milan atop. What else happened? A Bologna 3, Salernitana 0. Nice for Bologna. They still stay in fourth place. They're still Champions League for Bologna. That'd be nice.
Spag Bologna.
Spag Bologna in the Champions League. That would be lovely next season. Cagliari 1, Verona 1, Sassuolo 1, Udinese 1, Genoa 1, Frosinone 1. Loving a bit of 1-1s all over the place. Napoli are putting up one of the worst defences of a title defence you could imagine, as they now slip to just the 25 points behind Inter Milan in 8th place, losing 3-0 at home to Atalanta. Torino beat Monza 1-0. Lazio beat Juventus. A loss for Juventus. They're dropping down a little bit. No winning fourth for Juventus. It's a bit sketchy for them. But AC Milan picked up a 2-1 win away at Fiorentina. So at the minute, Champions League spaces, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus and Bologna. And it looks like Frosinone, Sassuolo and Salernitana are in trouble. So Serie B, we're not going to cover Serie B as well, are we? No, that's a bit too much. But it's all over. It's all over, according to Thomas Tuchel, isn't it, Josh, in the Bundesliga?
Oh, I tell you what.
Conceded.
Do you know what I have liked this week in the results is you've had a lot of draws. In fact, you had a 0-0, a 1-1, a 2-2, and a 3-3, which really tickled me. I quite enjoyed that. You had Eintracht Frankfurt and Union Berlin 0-0. Frankfurt should have won that one. They did dominate Union Berlin, but they're sort of finding their level. I think Union now, they're sort of like battling for that mid-table supremacy in the Bundesliga. The other 0-0 was at Leipzig and Mainz, which is a little bit boring. But the 1-1 was Augsburg and Cologne. The 2-2 was Darmstadt and Bochum, which Darmstadt need the points badly, but I just don't think they're going to do enough to get themselves up there. But it did well for Bochum. And then the 3-3 was Stuttgart and Heidenheim. But as you said, Thomas Tuchel, he's given up the ghost, because they were pretty comprehensively beaten by a very, I'd say, not inconsistent in results, in performances, and inconsistent Dortmund in regards to their performances, because they've had games that they've won, they've scraped through, but they were quite definitively the victors. The Karim Adeyemi in the 10th minute and Ryerson in the 83rd. So at both extremes of the game, they did it. They were doing them. They were doing bits of the game. There's a video. There's a clip of Harry Kane practically in tears at the end of the game, going, "Why? What have I done? I've broken Munich." And it wasn't Spursy. Maybe it was Harry Kane all along. It was me all along. What does that remind me of? That movie Planet of the Apes. It was Earth all along. That's what they seem to be experiencing. But and that does leave, though, Leverkusen 13 points ahead, still unbeaten, with a very Leverkusen performance where they did go 1-0 down. They've sort of got that mentality, that winning mentality that you need to have, that even when you're not playing especially well, you can grind out a result. They scored the 88th and the 91st minute against Hoffenheim to pull that victory back. And lots of shots, lots of possession, dominated, but they just couldn't find that breakthrough until right at the bitter end, which put them 13 points ahead. 13 points. Like I said, it's almost like the story was written, wasn't it? The irony of, the first manager to win the Bundesliga since Jurgen Klopp will be Xabi Alonso, and if he went to take his job, it would have just been a beautiful story. Which, for those of you that haven't heard, Xavi spoiled that now by saying he's still got work to do with Leverkusen, and he still has that other season, which I think from his personal career is the right choice. It's the right decision. Give yourself another season at a team where expectations are not going to be as high. So if he does finish next season 3rd, 4th, people aren't going to judge him too harshly as he went to a team like Munich or Liverpool and didn't win. People will be saying, is it all him or not? So it's the right decision to make. It's a sad decision to make, but that does leave him within just there. He's just there on the brink of being the first team to win that isn't Bayern Munich in, I think, it's something like 10 seasons, 11. It might even be like 11 or 12 seasons.
Since Klopp was the last, wasn't he?
Klopp was the last, I think, and it was 2 seasons before he left Dortmund as well. So he's been at Liverpool, 8 years? He's been 8 years at Liverpool. So it'd be about a good 10 or 11. I think it's 11 that they've had on the bounce now.
And Bayern were bloody lucky to win it last season, because Dortmund blew up on the last day,
didn't they? Yeah. Bottled it. So it's exciting times in the Bundesliga. Is a league to watch. Like I said, Stuttgart is still staying up there despite losing. But that would be nice to see Stuttgart in the Champions League. I'd quite like that. I've not really seen it. Do you know what? I didn't check to see who scored, whether Serge Gnabry scored in their game or not. Because, yes, Gnabry did score in the 34th minute, and Undav scored in the 98th as well. I think he's on loan from an English team.
Brighton, yeah. I think he's on loan from Brighton, yeah. What do you think? Because Leverkusen, of course, are in the Europa League and they've got West Ham. So there is the potential you could have a meet-up with Xabi Alonso. Wouldn't that be a very intriguing final? Liverpool-Leverkusen.
The only nice thing would be it'll be at the end of the season when all the games are done and titles have been decided then, because imagine if we lost that and then we lost that If we lost the Europa League to Xabi Alonso, he then stays at Leverkusen. That'd be devastating.
But it might be
I'm
like
not
the young
worrying that.
pretender coming to sort of, to say that I'm now the man.
It will be. And wouldn't it be interesting if he came when he did lose and then decided, you know what, actually, I'm going to go
Got on your bus afterwards.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got on the wrong bus and now I'm in Liverpool.
Swerve. But yeah, it'd be interesting. It is interesting, but we'll see, mate. I'm still hoping that we'll go all the way in the Premier League. That's what I'm after for Liverpool. But yeah, good times in the Bundesliga. What a league to watch. What a time to be alive. And the irony of Harry Kane moving there and then falling short would just be devastating. And Thomas Tuchel, like he cares, they're not going to win the Bundesliga. He's gone anyway. You already sacked him. I bet he's saying they're just to gloat.
He is. He's just on his holiday. That's just like, don't expect anything. We're done. I'm done. You're done. Bayern are done. Season's done. I've had enough. Talking of a league that looked like it was a long time over, but PSV lost. They lost a game of football. PSV were one of the unbeaten teams in Europe. They lost to NEC Nijmegen. Absolute machine of Nijmegen in 6th place have finally defeated PSV, which means that Feyenoord are only 7 points behind them. 7 points, surely not a PSV.
That is mad how tight that is, considering like how well PSV have been.
It shows that Feyenoord aren't having that too bad a season either, are they? I mean, they've won 20 of their 27 games and they're still 7 points behind, but they got a win over FC Utrecht. Utrecht were beaten 4-2 by Feyenoord. Then you've got Twente beating Heracles. Ajax got a win against PSV Zwolle. Zwolle were beaten 3-1. Zwolle. 3-1 by Ajax.
Right.
who don't look like they're going to be in Europe next season. So Ajax may have a season off by the looks of that. Almere City 1, Volendam 1. Volendam are still Volendammed at the bottom of the table, looking like they're going to the Eerste Division. The Eerste Division is the second division in Netherlands, which is worse than the Eredivisie, the Eerste Division. Sparta Rotterdam 4. Fortuna Sittard 0, well beaten by Sparta Rotterdam. The go-ahead Eagles, they were well ahead. The go-ahead Eagles at Excelsior 3-0. Of course, RKC Waalwijk won. Heerenveen won. Waalwijk Heerenveen, the podcast favourite fixture. Level, draw. Honours even, gentleman's agreement. Beautifully done. And AZ Alkmaar 2, Vitesse Arnhem 0, as AZ Alkmaar are still in the European spots as well. So there we go. Want to keep an eye on maybe a PSV collapse. We shall see. Join in next week to find out what's going on.
An exciting edition of
the Eredivisie. And then Liga minus PSG, because they're not fun. They're not fun because that is a title race without PSG. Brest, Monaco, and Lille are fighting it at the top. They all won this week, so they are keeping up the pace. Nice are in 5th, which is good. They need to drop out because I think it gets complicated with Man United in Europe if Nice start qualifying for Europe. So let's just drop down a little bit, please. Let's not have any of those shenanigans. Elsewhere, we've got Metz and Clermont-Foot still towards the bottom as well. Metz stuffed by Monaco. 5-2, probably the result of the week. And we're back in the United Kingdom now. Shah's going to tell us about Scotland.
Yeah, so the first game was Aberdeen 2, Ross County 1. So Bojan Miovski scored from a junior Hoyler. I don't know if any of you remember him. The junior Hoyler assist.
Blackburn, is he?
Blackburn and QPR,
yeah.
Canadian international.
Yeah, that was in the 5th minute to put Aberdeen 1-0 up. Simon Murray equalised for Ross County in the 26th minute. It's 9th of the season. Then, unfortunately, though, for Ross County, Jamie McGrath got a 78th minute winner from the home team for the home team. Aberdeen are 9th now with 33 points, and Ross County are 11th with 27. Hearts, the podcast favourite Scottish team, Hearts won, Kilmarnock won. Goals from Kenneth Vargas. Don't worry though, everyone. Lauren Shankland did assist. So it might not be scoring.
Selfish is Shanks. It's all about the team.
I know. He might not be scoring, but he's getting an assist. And Marley Watkins that was enough. Amali Watkins' goal, for Kilmarnock. That was enough for both teams to share the points. Stats did show it was a pretty even game. Hearts did have more possession, but apart from that, it was quite even. So I think the result kind of reflected that. Motherwell won, St Mirren won. Defender Marcus Fraser put St Mirren in the lead early in the first half. But despite having plenty of chances, Motherwell did get back into the game with a well-deserved equaliser in the 74th minute. Thelonious Blair, I love saying that name, with his 11th of the season. I love that. Rangers 3, Hibs 1. A very good win for Rangers against Hibs. It was full of drama, though, in the early stages of the first half. James Tavernier missed a penalty. I feel like every time I come on here, I feel like James Tavernier misses a penalty.
He does, doesn't he? He always misses a penalty and then scores another goal later on.
Well, he missed a penalty in the 21st minute. Scott Wright had a goal chalked off by VAR, also in the same minute. Then 5 minutes later, James Tavernier put Rangers 1-0 up. Hibs fought back, though, and managed to get an equaliser just before half-time when Melida scored. That was in the 40+2 minute of injury time. And then in 45+7, Cyril Dessers put Rangers back into the lead. What an eventful first half. Robert Matondo added to Rangers' goal tally in the 85th minute, and that confirmed all 3 points were going to the home side. Rangers are second, just a point behind Celtic with a game in hand. Hibs dropped to 7th after Dundee's win. And I wanted to also mention, before we get on to the funny bit, James Tavernier, I saw a stat about him and I thought it was a really good one. He is actually the highest scoring defender in British football history. He has got 131 goals. So I thought that was a really, really good stat.
That's not too shabby.
I know. And was it this game as well where that incident happened where
it was this game? The clip of the week.
The clip of the week where a player... It kicked the ball, didn't it? It hit one player in the face, took him out, and then hit another one in the face. And I thought it was just hilarious. It was a quality clip.
Definitely, if you haven't seen it, find it on Twitter because neither of them are looking. Both of them are KO'd the same moment.
So funny. So the next game was St Johnstone 1, Dundee 2. Lyle Cameron gave Dundee the lead in the 7th minute, and they held on to the lead until the 60th minute when Adama Sidibe equalised. Probably not, but we'll call him that. Dundee never gave up, though. Bakayoko was the man that gave them all 3 points. Dundee climbed to 6 now. St Johnstone are still 10th. And last but not least, Livingston 0, Celtic 3. A Jamie Brandon own goal first, unfortunately, as well as goals from Paolo Bernardo and midfielder Matt O'Reilly gave Celtic more than enough for all 3 points in a game where they completely dominated in all the stats too. It wasn't a surprise considering poor Livingston, bless them. They are bottom of the league and they've been there for quite a while now. They've only got 17 points. They are still top though, Celtic, by 1 point, but Rangers do have that all-important game in hand. So it's getting a bit tasty at the top. I think it's Rangers, to be fair. I think Rangers will win.
But it's getting spicy. They've got their run, haven't they? And this new manager, they've done really well. So there is Celtic Rangers to come. So it's very, very, very exciting in Scotland. And that brings us to the end of our footballing coverage. We've made it. We've done it. Easter is over. We've made it all the way through with my super duper team. So let's just go to you guys first. How's your Easter been anyway? We didn't ask that. I'm going to ask it at the end because I'm just going to throw it. I'm going to just throw something out at the end. How was your Easter? Char, go first. How was your Easter? Was it good? Did you enjoy it?
It wasn't very good from the football side of it on Good Friday. Mr. Luke will probably get his own back and tell you all about that on Thursday. But from like a family point of view, it was really good. Spent time with obviously the boys, my sister. She made us all a roast dinner yesterday, which was bang on. So yeah, top chef she is. But yeah, it was really good. How was yours?
Yeah, not too bad. Lots of seeing family and people, lots of Easter egg hunts, lots of all that shenanigans. Yeah, can't complain. Final of Gladiators. It was all going on this weekend, you know, all the important things, of course. Josh, how's your Easter weekend?
You know, it was my wife's birthday this weekend, so we took it to see her family in the great city of Coventry. So I spent my whole weekend in Coventry, which was nice. It's nice to see the in-laws and to see my wife happy. She's still at an age where birthdays are a celebration. Whereas when you get to my age, there was a little bit of something that you pretend doesn't happen. Really, it's just another day. So that was quite nice. And then we got home. We get to go car shopping today, which is always fun, sitting in cars and pretending that you're driving it and going beep beep and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I did upset my wife. I was a little bit childish. I'm not sure if anyone's seen the Tesla's got like this toy box and it makes lots of funny noises. And one of the noises it makes is like a whoopee cushion. It's like a fart noise. So me and the kids in there, I was like, "Hey wife, come sit in the front next to me." She opened the door. She sat down. I was like, "That's it. Fuck off. I'm gone now." I was in the doghouse for about half an hour afterwards, but it was nice. It was nice and otherwise quite enjoyable. But thank you, Samuel. It's so kind of you to ask. You're such a gentleman.
We thought we'd finish on such a positive note, and of course, everyone will want to find you to find out about your Easter stories as well as footballing stuff and your opinions and your friendly debates on Twitter as well. Where can people find you, Josh, for your friendly debates on Twitter?
They do enjoy a friendly debate that often turns sour because people just can't have grown-up discussions. I'm at absolutely Josh _ I'm on just Twitter. That's it. I can't be bothered with anything else these days because I'm too old, I'm too poorly, and I don't have the time. So find me there. Just please debate football nicely. Just give it a go. I don't always talk sense, so you could disagree with me, but you know, let's do it as friends.
There we go. Go and check Josh out. And of course, where can everybody find the lovely Shah on your socials?
Yes, I am Shah XRAFC. That is on Twitter. It's on Instagram. It's on TikTok where I've been a little bit more kind of active. I've been putting more clips on from the podcast so people can hear my opinions or just have a laugh. A lot of it is crazy lower league clips, so that should make people smile. My Rochdale Her Game 2 stuff is Rochdale HGT on all of them socials. And of course, you can catch me on Thursday on Absolutely Lower League.
You can indeed. And I am up the FM Ducks if you want to follow me anywhere, probably Twitter. And I'm starting to do some TikTok videos when I get the time and I can do it. I think I did a couple today because why not? Because it was Easter and I had a bit of time for a very rare occasion. But what you should be doing and what you must be doing with our new socials on there. Look at all these lovely faces. We've got everything pretty much. We're almost there, I think, with everybody. But we've got all these faces in there with the newbies. The Absolute Football Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Absolute Football Pod, on YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast, on TikTok at Absolute Football Pod, on Instagram and Threads, Absolute Football Podcast _, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. We are Mondays with the Premier League. Wednesdays, we have the WSL and Women's Championship, and this weekend, Conti Cup as well. All the stuff that's going on in the Conti Cup and the drama that was happening there as well. And very happy to hear that the Arsenal player is better. That was a very horrific and sad event there. So they will cover all of that on Wednesday. On Thursday, we have the EFL and National League in Lower League. And of course, what's the hashtag, Shah, if people want National League South and North?
Hashtag Josh, I want it lower, or hashtag we want it lower. Please do it. Tell everybody your Twitter again, Josh, so we can
sounds very sexy. I want a bit of I want it lower. That gets me excited. You can hashtag me in that all day and absolutely Josh.
There we go. Drop your hashtags in. Josh will love it. And join us here as well. Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday this week, we will be back. And thank you to everybody in the chat, everybody who's here. I hope you've had a fantastic Easter. We always say, you make the show. It is massive to have you here. All your opinions and all the back and forth you have in the chat. It's brilliant to have you all. So everybody, have a fantastic week. Enjoy the football, and we will catch you on the next one. See you later.